Hey, it's Mike with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and it is Wednesday, and it is October 21st. This will be our chart lesson for today. And real quickly, I'm a little late getting this up first. Um, I've got something that's pulling me away today, that pulled me away today, and will tomorrow afternoon too. So I'll probably have to come back late in the evening, like I am now, to do this tomorrow, most likely. So if it may be a little bit late again tomorrow night, and I apologize. I don't like doing it this late, and I don't have to like having to come in and do it this late. But I know you guys like to probably see it a little earlier too, but can't be helped. So hopefully just today and tomorrow, and it won't run into next week or anything. So, uh, but I got a personal issue that's pulling me away in the afternoons the next couple of days. So anyway, um, real quickly before I get started too. I mentioned it yesterday. We've got a chance. If anybody's interested, you don't have to be a member of our group or anything. If you follow our videos or you're listening and you're interested in $100 off of a lifetime license for NinjaTrader, we've got a deadline of close the business tomorrow for that discount. They're offering it to our group, and I'm just offering it to our viewers as well. You don't have to be a member um, of our membership or have bought anything from us or anything like that. If you follow us and watch our videos, or if you just happen to see this one video, um, I'll include you in the people that get $100 discount. So unfortunately, I had a couple of you tell me that you just bought in the last couple of days, and if it was up to me, I'd honor it still. But NinjaTrader says no, so I apologize. But if you've already purchased one or you're already they did agree to, if you're just leasing and you want to buy, they will honor that. But if you already bought, they won't make the discount retroactive, basically. So if you've already purchased, you already have a lifetime license. I hate it for you, but there's nothing you can do. And there's been a couple of you that contacted me, and I had to, I hate to give you the bad news, but unfortunately. But if you don't have a current if currently you do not have a lifetime license and you would like to have one, send me an email to mac@priceactiontradingsystem.com. And if you can't get the email, just go to the website, look for the contact down the right hand side of any page under important links. You'll see a contact, and send me a contact, and I will indeed uh, send you the information. But it has to be, the deadline is 5 o'clock tomorrow afternoon, and I don't know where they're at, so I don't know what time 5 o'clock is for them, what time zone they're in. So don't dilly dally around. And if you're interested in it, send me your information, and I'll send you the information on how to get it. So, and if you're one of our members, it's posted in the forum as well, so you can see it there. And we've already sent over about 12 or 13 people. And the more we send, the more likely they are to give us more discounts and maybe bigger discounts in the future. So I've really pressed to try to get some kind of discount with NinjaTrader, and I finally got them to agree to this. And as a test, just to kind of see how we would respond, and I feel like we've responded pretty well. If everybody that said they were interested has contacted them and purchased, then we should have sent 12 or 13 people over there. So. But anyway, if you're interested, just send me, all I need is your full name and email address. And actually, I don't even need your full name based on what they ended up telling me. If you'll just contact me by email, I'll send you the information if you're interested in that $100 discount. And again, it's only good through tomorrow, which is Thursday, October the 22nd. It's only good till close of business tomorrow. So you can't dilly-dally around. If you want to use it, you got to follow through between now and close of business tomorrow for them, and which I'm not sure what time that is. So anyway, I hope that's helpful to you. And those of you that signed up, I hope it was helpful to save that $100 or whatever. So and maybe we'll get some more discounts, more opportunities. I had to go through a full process to be able to do this. I was really surprised that I will give NinjaTrader the benefit of the doubt. They do a background check on you. They do a credit check on you. They do a lot of different things before they accept you as one of their working members. So Anything you buy from anybody through NinjaTrader, they've been through a full background check, so you can know that they're solid and that you don't have to worry about getting scammed from any of those people. I wouldn't think so. So I will say that I will give credit to NinjaTrader for that. So it's a lot of work to go through all that, but um, we did get this discount. Hopefully we'll get some more in the future. But anyway, let's get to the chart lesson because it's already late. There's not a lot of trades today. Another range day, you can see it. Early on, the bias was up. Oops. But you can see we just chopped around. And really right in here, this is when it kind of gets hard. From here, we should go to here. But you can clearly see there's two legs up and there's two legs correction in the middle. I don't think you want to try to go long on this setup here because it's a little big. I could have marked this trade right here because from here you would expect us to go up, and they kind of throw you off and fake you out turning down at the midline here, and then it just shoots straight up, but we don't quite get back up there, and then we come back down and we test this again, and once again it holds and prices take off and trend up, and this is a nice trend up. There's only a couple of trades in here unfortunately, but they're good trades. The one good thing about it, there's not a lot of trades today. But the ones that are here, if you caught them, there's some great moves and some big runners here. So there was some good opportunity. And but this is a great. I really like this example as a teaching example because you can clearly see there's a leg up, a two-legged correction, and a second leg up. So there's a two legs up and a two-legged correction in the middle. That's perfect price action. Then it sells off again. It comes back down here and starts over, finds support again, and then we trend up the rest of the day. So make sure you pay attention to those legs like that, and because a lot of times this will be the center of a pattern, and we actually got a bigger move up on leg 2, I think. But if you measure that first leg and you look for leg 2, I would start here, maybe there as well, but that's where I would measure it from the low point. You can see we went a little further than that, so just move that over there so it's kind of out of the way. But you can see that would have been your minimum target, and from there my next target probably would have been this, and you can see, and that's really this is the real beauty of it. Notice when we shot out of here, we didn't come, notice the support right there, we didn't come back and test that. Prices almost always come back and test that. So before going back lower again, we made two legs up and tested that breakout area right there. If you put a line across there, notice exactly where we went to. And if you really, we didn't test this one. You can see we almost got to that one, but we really actually couldn't get through this resistance right here. And we tested that to the tick. Look at there, almost to the tick. And then prices turned back down. So that was you have to figure that's our first target here. This is probably the next target, then the next, and you just kind of work your way up on the next support and resistance. But the fact that we didn't test this was a good, and we really didn't test this. We tried, but never got to it. So that's a good indication that that's where we're headed right here at a minimum, is to test those breakout areas, because prices almost always come back and test them. So that's a good learning opportunity since we had a little extra time, most likely, because there's not a lot of trades. But I'm going to back on out. We'll go through the trades, and I'm going to wrap this up so I can get this processed and uploaded, because it's 7 o'clock my time. So it's probably going to be 8 o'clock before you guys even get a chance to look at this if you're trying to watch it tonight. So, but anyway, early on, we come in, we're working down. We bounced here. We made an overnight low. That's the low of the overnight. Then we got a little two-legged correction, and then we reversed right here. But notice that support across there. We came back. We tested it once. We tested it twice. We tried to go lower again, and it's a reverse, a little bit of a reversal pattern right there. And I like going long right there. If it breaks higher, we're probably headed back to the upper side. And at first you're looking for a low, but this 7 o'clock came, I think, right in, I can't remember exactly where 7 o'clock was. It's right in here somewhere. Yeah, it's as we're coming into this, and we try to go lower and turn down. I was looking at trading this as a engulfing, but it closed before it broke higher, and then it broke higher pretty quickly though, and this took on off. And you would look for a measured leg at a minimum. And again, there's your another measured leg. That's going to be your minimum target most likely. And you can see we didn't quite get it before we corrected there. But draw your trend line right here. And the reason I like this one is because it's a higher low off those first two swings. It just really confirmed that trend line. It is into the EMA, but on range days with that support across there and the trend line, you know, you're going to have to almost always go long or short into the EMA on range days. There's not any two ways about it. You know, it's something you always want to be concerned about, but I like that trade just simply because it's a higher low confirming that trend line. If you draw the trend line just right, it actually turns off of it. I've moved it around a little bit and got it off when I was. Actually, it's more like that. And it actually doesn't touch the trend line. Originally, I had it right across there. I think that's where let me draw that again. Normally, you draw this off the closes. So yeah, that's where I had it. And it does bounce off that and looks like it confirms it. You can see right there. And it also confirms this trend line, this little short-term one. But I think what I did was I adjusted this after the fact when we made this lower low here. And you can see it pretty much comes into play all the way up. And it was really hard to know where the upper side, kind of like yesterday, that could be it. I mean, it does seem to fit there. There's the midline too. So in the end, that's probably correct right there. So it doesn't really matter. You still turn down here. And it's a range day. So, but sometimes it's helpful to know. And when you come up short like that, that's a good sign that you're probably going to roll over and go lower at some point. But anyway, we're working up here. You got this short-term trend working up. You get a break and you pull back, and there's a second entry long here. And somebody asked me about this on the forum. It looks like it's right off the midline there. So we're probably coming back to the trend line. So you got to be careful here, and you probably should have drawn your little short-term trend here. So that kind of makes this one, you know, a little bit questionable. But you don't have a new high in place, and that's a clear trend, and it looks like we've got another trend possibly working up. This one hadn't really been confirmed yet right here based on the way it should have been drawn. Of course, the way I drew it, it looked like it was already confirmed. And maybe there's a shorter term trend working up through there anyway. But irregardless, that's a little bit aggressive right there. It does work if you take that trade. There's enough ticks in there that you get your scalp with no problem. And then it turns down. There's actually a higher low right there, but you can see a little bit of resistance right there, and that looks like it looks like we may be setting up some congestion, which we do because the next bar just goes sideways too, and we end up in a little range here is what happens. But notice we come back, we confirm the trend line right there. I don't think you want to go long right there. But when it makes the higher low and you still got plenty of room on this range and resistance here, I like going long there. There's enough room to get out. And then we're just kind of working along. And then you get a little breakout pullback, which is again is right off that key entry point. And it's a nice bullish bar. If it wasn't for this main trend line, I would say you wouldn't go long out of this range here. But the fact that we got on the upper side and tested it twice, notice that bar tested it, and this one tested it. And so you got the trend line, the former resistance is acting as support, you got the EMA, you got all that right below you. So that's a fairly decent risk to go long there. And plus, if this is a range day, we're probably going back to the highs, and off we go. And if you catch this trade, you can see that, I mean, all the shorts had to give up here. And you can see that. Look at it rocket up. And then it pulls back and tests the midline. The middle of a range is where you got to be kind of careful. But being off that trend line and that midline, that's another one that, you know, I'm not adverse if you wanted to be really aggressive taking that trade. It's a little bit away from the EMA, but you can clearly see that confirms that trend line. There's the first two swings. And that confirms it. And this next par confirms it too when it bounces off of it before it breaks higher. So you may take that trade. Now, I wouldn't, once you get way up here, I wouldn't take it. You're just getting too far away. And there's probably some entries up here, but just be patient. And then we kind of get, I keep grabbing that line for some reason. Sorry. Uh, mouse is sticky or something today. But anyway, you run up here and you just end up going sideways right across here. And you can see that range clearly. And maybe it could be that it's a little bigger here. Like so. I originally drew it off these lows here, but it's probably a little bigger actually. That looks pretty good. You get more touches. So this looks like a little failed breakout, but I wouldn't go long right there, just because of where that's at and the fact that we're approaching the overnight highs. And and we just kind of we're meandering along, and you really just don't get a setup here. You don't really want to go long right here because of the overnight lows and the fact that we're finding this resistance. And you've got to be careful about going short because the bias is still up. So this is kind of where you don't know what's going on. Is it going to be a range day? Is when we get back to this trend line, is it going to hold and go higher? It's hard to know right here. So just don't do anything. Unless you get a really good trap or something, just don't do anything. And people ask me over and over, I don't know what to do here. What do you do? Well, I don't know what to do right there either. Most traders don't. And you can see it's just indecision. And so there's times on the chart where even if most people do know and you don't recognize what's going on, anytime you don't know what the chart is telling you, that's when you do nothing. No trade is better than a wrong trade, because if you just guess, you're a gambler. And guess what? Gamblers don't make it in this business. They don't last long at all. So you don't want to be a gambler. We only take high probability trades. And so we're not gamblers. So, but finally you get a trap here. Look what happens. You make a little failed breakout here. Then you try to go higher once, and then you push outside this support here, and you come back and you test it, and it actually breaks higher and turns down. That's very bearish. You could actually go short right there, but you'd probably want to go short on the engulfing portion of it, one tick below that bar. And it looks like it's not going to work out, but it does. Continues to work down, then it comes back again. I'd wait on this one. Since we didn't go lower already, the range just moved down a little bit. But then when it comes back and tests that again, you really got a triple test right here, but you never really got a setup because it doesn't break lower till here. And so that gives you the same entry, whether you call that the double test or this the double test. So really you get a double test here with one more. I guess what's probably going on is the smart traders are just not sure, and plus you get a second entry here. Notice the new low, first entry, second entry. That's where to go to go short. And you really could have gone short one tick below that bar, but if you do, your stop has to go here until this bar closes, then it ends up at the same place anyway. So, and then look at it, off it goes, and it actually takes a few more minutes before it breaks on down. But once it does, if you catch this trade, that's probably the only trade you need today, because this thing runs straight down. And so if you just kept moving your stop below each new swing high, guess where you don't get stopped out till right here. And that's pretty much it. I mean, if you can get all but a point out of this would be a 51 to, and you would have been out around, let's just say 28. That's a 22-point move. If you can get all but a point of a 22-point move, you can't do any better than that. So be happy with that. And so we're running on down, and there's actually notice this is a double top. So first entry, second entry. So there's a failed second entry long right there when it breaks below that bar. It's a little risky. Looks like congestion too. You're a little ways away from the EMA, but it's right off that key entry point, and it is a failure. It's probably going to trap some people that, trying to get long here. And you can see how it rockets on down again. So you may enter there. It's a little aggressive. Unfortunately, there's no rejection down here. You can see that prices aren't being rejected. They finally do, but it takes you have to make a low, one test. So you have to get almost a double, triple test before prices rocket out of there. And you just don't really get a good setup. So unfortunately, you can't catch this move up. But you're running up, you get a break, and Notice that's a double bottom, so a first entry, you get a second entry short with plenty of room back to the EMA. You're overdue to come back, and it's off the midline right there, so you're probably turning back down to at least test the EMA. You're still expecting prices to maybe going up here, but this is played out right here. So I like going short there just to try to get a scalp, but again, you get a nice move down. And you get another little second entry right here, but that's congestion. If you enter there, I don't think it works. Your entry would have been 32, is that right? No, 32 and a quarter. And that goes to 31. So yeah, you still would have got out of that. I didn't mark it because it's so congestive looking, and I just think it's a little risky right there because we have been up, but it is the first break of that little move down, and there's a good chance you'll probably get another leg, but that's a little bit congestive looking, and there is enough room. There's just enough room, and it goes right to those lows. Let me just draw the. You really should draw your. Really, it's probably more like that right there. You should draw these. And you can see the congestion right there. That's a little failed breakout. So if you got enough room there, this would be a little higher. And you probably can take that trade. That's the key to it. It's not a great signal bar either. It's bearish, but it's not perfect. So anyway, I'm not going to mark it, but it would have worked if you took it. And then you do get another leg down, but you don't get a chance to enter it. You get a lower high here, but really you're right back into that support again. So I don't like it, and it ends up just going sideways, and you don't want to go long there yet either. So this is another move that you just can't get in. And so we had two big moves to the upside. We couldn't get in either one of them. You might enter this trade. It actually breaks lower and turns and goes out the other side on an engulfing bar. And it's probably going to trap people, but that's just such a huge bar. I mean, well, really, you got to look at this for your entry. So your risk on that bar is $250, and it's another couple of 3 ticks below that, so it's probably another $50. So that's a $300 risk to go long there. You know, it's just not worth it to not know what price. It's hard to know what prices are doing in there, so that's the reason I don't have any entries there. And then we run up here, and you don't get a failed second entry long till here. And again, you might have considered going short there, but then when you make an inside bar and another, now you got congestion, but it runs down here, breaks out, pulls back, and then goes lower. So, and it's right off that key entry point. So you might go short right there when it breaks lower. Again, I think it's a little risky. And then we run down here and we just get back in another one of these. And I don't think you know, it's just hard. Prices just don't know what they want to do. They're just kind of, it's a lot of indecision here. So just sit tight and wait. And notice we drop out here. There's actually a failed second entry short there way away from the EMA. But this trend is all still in play, and I think you're just better off to wait. And then notice what happens. You make a double bottom here, and you get a first entry and then a second entry. So when it breaks higher here, that's a failure. And that looks like a nice reversal. And we're just coming off the low. So this time you get a chance to enter. It's not as good as one of these, unfortunately, but it's still a pretty good move. Runs up, we come back, and it's too much overlap right there. If this would have broke lower and turned and went out, maybe. But we're clearly trending up, and you're just looking for good setups now. This is a good signal bar, but it's just, again, it's too big. Your risk is $262.50. And because your entry's here and your stop has to go down here, so just wait, and you get a higher low, but no signal bar. But finally, you get a failure off the EMA and the trend line, and again, it's a relatively big bar, but actually your entry would be here because it breaks higher here. So that takes a little bit of the sting out of that, but your stop still has to go below this bar. So I marked that one because it's a, you know, it's obvious that trend line's in play, and this one gives you a little better entry, and that really takes you into 2 o'clock because you don't want to be entering. There's no entries up here. I mean, This is basically a new low, so that's a failed second entry short, but it's not even back to the midline, much less the EMA. And this late in the day, you just can't take that trade. So that's what I see. My volume keeps dinging. I hope I haven't run out of volume and this doesn't end up one of those days that there's no audio. So I'm going to try to wrap this up before my audio does die. But anyway, I hate I had to go through that so quickly, but I just didn't have any option today. It's 7:15 and now I've got to process this and get it uploaded for y'all. And I'm running late, so, and it's 25 minutes now, so it's going to be a long video to process and get uploaded. So I'm going to wrap it up. We'll be back again to do it tomorrow. Again, the video might be a little bit late. If you're interested in the NinjaTrader deal, don't forget about that. Send me an email. And I'm done for today. This is Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and we'll see you next